Hi everyone, this is Henry from Quicksilver Series. I want to show you how you can create a model of your truss in AutoCAD and then import it into our design environment, okay, into Quick Structure 7. Now, of course, in this method, the whole work starts in AutoCAD. Okay. Now, what we have done recently, that we have enabled a tool that will enable you to import AutoCAD. Okay, roof trusses direct from AutoCAD into our design environment. So that the software, of course, automatically will create the elements and at the same time create the grids for you. Okay, so you don't need to create those grids and elements in our civil soft. Now, of course, it's a well-known knowledge that most of these trusses usually come in AutoCAD or any other CAD environment. So that is why we have enabled the read of DXF, which is quite a very big stuff for us. Okay. Now, all we need to do first of all, before you start, this is the truss I'm going to use for my example. Okay. Now, before you start, it will be good that you create a different layer, okay, for the truss, so that at the end of the day you can isolate every other layer and then deal with that layer alone. Okay. And again, let me also say this, the software actually reads lines to be your truss elements. Okay, so it is important that you make sure that the only line that is in AutoCAD environment is just only the truss. Okay, it might be better for you to even zoom it and make sure that no other thing is being seen. Okay, now the first thing I will do will be to create a layer for my truss, and after that I have to use the line object in AutoCAD to sketch in the truss. It is important I sketch the truss. It's not good to assume that the lines you are seeing, as it is. It is always better you sketching the truss by yourself. I will talk a little bit about that. Let's just start. First of all, I have to create a layer. So I'll go to AutoCAD. I can just, depend on the edition you are using, I can create a separate layer. Okay. Let's assume we use magenta. Let me just create a layer. Let me call the layer my truss element. Let me call it truss element. Okay, so this is the layer I want to work with. Okay, this is my truss element. Now I will set this as the current layer. Okay, and then I can now use it too, and then please make sure like the color is by layer. Okay, now I will now sketch my trusses. Okay, I'll just pick the line element. Why I have to sketch the truss? I just want to be sure that the points connect. Sometimes in AutoCAD, except if you zoom in very well, in fact, even if you might have to use the object snap, make sure your object snap is on. Okay, depending on whether you are drawing inclined or orthogonal lines, so you might want it to be on or off. Okay, but usually for trusses, they are better being off. Okay, now, but very importantly, you must make sure the object snap is on. Okay, depending on the version of AutoCAD you are using, just make sure your object snap is on, because the trusses must connect. One drawback in sketching the truss from AutoCAD is the fact that sometimes somebody might think that the points are touching, but whereas they are not touching. That is why you need your object snap to be on, because if the trusses did not connect and you read off the line, of course the software will just read the line you have. So, but the trouble is the truss we never analyze. It's as simple as that. If the truss cannot connect, then there's a trouble. Okay, although that's a little bit of the advantage we have with the alias system that I described in the former tutorial. Because in that one you create your coordinates and all the rest. Everything is just perfect. But in this case, please, it is very, very important you make sure the points you are clicking, that they are all connecting. Okay, so I can start from the top. Remember, I just picked the line object, click on the first point, and please, if you can get a mouse that has a wheel, it will go a long way to help, because it will help you to make sure at the points that you can always wheel to zoom very well into the object that you are connecting. And please also avoid doing stuff like this, like you can see drawing a double line. Okay, make sure you are drawing only single lines. It is very, very important. A very good example, I can come here, click on this point, but please, you can always zoom in to make sure that the points you are clicking, that they are connecting. It is very, 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 very important, because if the points do not connect, then your trusses are likely to have trouble. Okay, so it is very important you make sure the points connect. Okay, then I can go this way and click on this. Okay, but make sure you don't do a double line. Okay, so this is this. Then of course this is a no do. You don't do this. It depends on, just make sure you follow the lines of the trusses. Okay, make sure you follow the lines of the trusses, so you don't do this and then go that way. So, or you don't come back here. Please avoid double lines and make sure the lines are connecting. Okay, so I can go again, pick another point. You are free to zoom in as much as possible, because the idea is that the point must touch and connect, or else you might likely have trouble with your trusses. Okay, and why I have to trace this truss on a layer that I created, I just want to make sure by the time I turn off every other layer, that the lines that I am going to transfer into the software are lines that I can vouch for, lines that you created by yourself. Okay, because if for instance you are working off a truss that somebody else have done, so you cannot really be sure if the lines are connecting. Number one, you cannot really be sure again if they are double lines, because in AutoCAD, I mean, for instance, I can draw another line this way, and they will appear like one line, but when the software is reading it off, it's going to read it as two lines, and then the truss is likely to have trouble also. Okay, so that is why it is very, very important that you trace the trusses by yourself, pick the lines one after the other. Okay, so that you make sure that the lines that are there are single lines, and that the lines are the lines that you can vouch for. Okay, so just patiently trace your truss. Don't be in a haste, so you don't make mistakes. Okay, and as I said earlier, make sure your object snap is on, so that you can be able to comfortable snap at points. Okay, now the trusses can be more complex than this, but as I said, make sure your snap is on, and then gently trace the lines one after the other. You don't not need to be in a haste. And as I said earlier, don't assume that the lines, for example, this truss that we have, you can see the lines are already formed. It's always good not to assume that, everything is okay, and then you read off, turn it into a DXF and redirect. Because the trouble is, the person that might have done the trusses earlier might have drawn double lines on top of each other, and you never can know. Okay, that is why it is good to create your own separate layer, call it whatever name you want to call it, and trace the lines by yourself. Make sure every point connect to each other. Okay, and again, another good way, if you can see a way of ensuring continuity as you are making the trusses, that will also help. You can see what I'm doing. I clicked on this point and then moved again, provided you are using the line object. any line you drop will always be a single line. Okay, please avoid using polylines. Okay, because polylines we always they're not line objects. The software will only read your line object and not your polyline. It's important you also note this. Okay, and then if you can also ensure continuity as you click on points, okay, that can help. But where you can't ensure that, just let it go. Take the lines one after the other, for instance, like what I have now, and then I'll come back and draw this. Okay, go again, click on this, click, or you can right click to repeat the last command. Depending on your setting, you can right click and the menu will not come out, and then you just click. This is a very patient work, because what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to avoid overlapping the lines. Number one, I'm also trying to make sure that the lines connect together at the joints. It's very, 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 very important when you are dealing with trusses, because if the lines do not connect, then believe you me, you are likely to run into troubles when you want to analyze the truss. Okay, so patiently trace the trusses, and as I said earlier, let me also repeat this because it is very important. Don't assume that the trusses you are seeing, that you can just read them off direct, because the person that might have done the truss might not be careful enough to ensure that the lines connect, number one, at the joints, because sometimes in AutoCAD might be looking at a line and you are thinking that they are joined together, but they intersect, but truly they do not, intersect. By eye judgment, you cannot actually tell, but when you use the object snap stuff, then you can be able to tell the difference. Okay, so that's why it's good you are very careful, do your stuff, make sure the lines connect and everything is okay, and then you will not run into trouble. Okay, now after tracing your truss elements, okay, you can now move to the next level. Now next we have to uncheck, we have to turn off this layer where we created the truss. Okay, and then make sure that every other line is deleted. In fact, if possible, just zoom extent, just to make sure that no other line exists in the truss, in the AutoCAD environment. Okay, so later, once you are sure, then you can bring back your trusses. Why we have to do this is to make sure that the only line that is in the environment is only our trusses. Okay, so the next now is for us to save the truss. So the next is for us to save our truss. Okay, I just click on File, Save As, and then I'll change save as 2004 DXF. Remember, you have to save as a DXF. I can save as 2004 DXF. Okay, that is AutoCAD 2004/LT 2004 DXF. Okay, I call it Truss Example 1. Okay, then I'll save. Always remember where you saved your work into. Okay, now the next is for us to go over to the Silversoft Quick Structure 7 design environment. Okay, I will click on File, and then of course I've already clicked on Find New Project. Okay, before ever you start, you have to click on Find New Project. Right now, the next I'll click on File, then I'll say I'll click on Import AutoCAD DXF Still Elements. Now it's saying this operation will import AutoCAD DXF Still Elements. before you continue, it is important you understand how the software reads your DXF file. Lines are read as still elements, which I have talked about so much earlier. So make sure the only lines in the DXF are still elements. Please make sure the lines are well connected at joints. You might need to zoom in to be sure. Please note, this action will delete all the current element, telling you that if you have any current element before you import, it will wipe it off. Are you sure you want to continue? We just click yes. Okay, after saving your work in DXF, right, I also forgot to mention that before you go over to Quick Structure 7, also remember to save your work as DWG. What I mean by that is this: I'll just click, it's already saved as a DXF. I can just go back, click Save As, and then so you can keep a copy in case you need to make reference back to your work. Okay, I can just come back here and then click Save. Okay, so that means that we have two copies. You have a DWG copy which can always open, because sometimes the DXF might not open. So you have the DWG and then you also have the DXF. DXF is just for you to be able to read it off in Quick Structure 7. Okay, so but before you ever read in Quick Structure 7, you must close the DXF, or else it will not read. Okay, so let's go over and read it off in Quick Structure 7. So I'll click yes. After, of course, we have opened the file, the Quick Structure 7, click on New Project, then you now click on Import still element. So I'll click yes, and then I'll look for my DXF. Earlier I saved it into Design Projects and then Truss Example 1. So I will select this and click Open. So you can see, so the software reads off the DXF direct. You can see the trusses are all created, and of course the grids are also mapped out for me. That's quite very wonderful. So I mean, it saves us a lot of headache. Okay, but as I said earlier, it is very important you make sure your work are well done in AutoCAD, so by the time you come over here, you will not have much difficulty. You can also zoom more into the truss. As you can see, this is just showing me my joints. If there is an overlap, that's one way to also check the trusses for overlap is you can zoom as much as you can. Okay, and then you can look into these rings. If there's an overlap, you see, if you zoom in so well, you will see that the ring will not overlap, you know. But if there is no overlap, I mean, everything will be perfectly formed. Okay, it's always good to correct check with trusses. You just have to be sure, okay, so that you don't run into trouble. Okay, you can just gently, you know, zoom through, scroll through, and then make sure everything is okay, and from the way it's going, it looks perfect. Okay, if there is any problem by the time we want to analyze, we're going to see. Okay, that is simply how you can read your drawing from AutoCAD. Of course, as I said, you have to turn the drawing into a DXF for you to be able to read it in our design environment. You don't read in DWG, you must save as a DXF. Most CAD applications have the power to save as a DXF, so you must save as a DXF first before you can read it in. Okay.